Hi, Dyslexic Genius here. I'm back on the Cornish. We're going to talk about the governor. I've done many videos on governors on the YouTube channel, but I always want to do one for every phonograph and show you how to do it. What you really want to do is clean everything down and polish it. You want to make sure that you've cleaned here, polished out the governor's drive shaft, the shaft that goes all the way through. You want to oil this before you do this. You always want to oil all the screws when you put it back together. The other thing is, on the governor speed control, this, you can see how I've cleaned off the old oil. You just take this works for any phonograph. I just take a straight razor and you just clean that off like that. And you'll preload it with a little oil and that'll start to soak in. Now, why do we clean the end of this? It's critical on all phonographs. What happens is the leather or the felt loads up and then the oil gets hard over time, the oil they use. And what that does is it drives into this soft brass and it leaves a rough surface here. So you always want to polish this part out so it's smooth, because this is running on it. And that makes everything run a lot better. So basically, we've cleaned everything. All we have to do now is put in the last spring. We'll do that right now. I use my scissor screwdrivers, which hold the screws, which helps to assembly.
Now, did you hammer the rivets again?
Oh yeah, and on this one, the spring and the weight are like Edison, so you want to set that up on a block
And tappy tap.
and tappy tap, because you want to make sure that little rivet, that little round piece in the middle, is flared over onto the washer, which is holding everything in place. You don't want to put this thing back together one day and go, oh no, it broke. That's the reason they break. So we have a large end and a small end on governor springs on this. Some have one hole and one hole, but this has the oblong hole in the back. I'm running that to the back. Doesn't matter where you put it,
As long as they're all in the same direction?
as long as they're all in the same direction. So you screw these in till it's almost tight. I love these scissors. Screwdrivers, because back in the day when I was young and just teaching myself how to do this, these little screws would go flying places. And it's like,
And that was when you had 2 eyes.
that's when I had 2 eyes, not one. So I get these down. What we want to do is we want to take the springs and tighten them out. You don't want to do this because one weight might be this way or that way. You want everything in line on a governor. So you just come in here, hold down on the end of the bearing right here, and it pulls the springs tight. And when you pull down, you might hear a little click, and that's it getting in position. I'm still pushing down on the flywheel part. And after you get it together, you can see all the springs are in line. You give it a spin. And you can see that one's not bumping out or going left or right on you. Now what you want to do is come back in here and just make sure all these screws are tight all the way around like that. Because sometimes you won't get them all the way tight. You want to make sure you do both ends. And that's how you do a governor for a Cornish phonograph or any other phonograph. You always want to make sure that your felt or leather right here is cleaned off and pre-oiled so that when it's running on your phonograph like that, this is all smooth. You want to get the crud off that too. And that's my tip for the day.